Welcome to the project. Tonight, fresh disaster declarations as Alfred's impact drags on. But with an increasing number of Aussies underinsured, could the real pain be yet to come?
Also, Hughesy joins us on the desk to talk about audience etiquette after his viral onstage outburst at the Adelaide Fringe.
Someone speaking like that, it's so distracting.
It's like a meeting in the old days. Plus, he's the brains behind legendary shows like The Young Ones and Blackadder. Award-winning comedian Ben Elton stops by.
And the shocking number of people who say they'd be fine if their partner hooked up with a robot.
What?
I know, now I'm a modern guy and I'm fine with it, guys. As I always say, just make sure your partner uses protection. Any kind of antivirus software should do it.
We are live from the lands of the Kulin Nation, and he's not a robot, but he's a bit of a machine. It's Steve Price.
Good to be here. Thank you.
And you brought the public holiday vibes under the desk.
Well, I wish I had a better story. I wish I had a better story than that. I just forgot to pack any trousers.
Oh my God, hearts fluttering across the nation right now.
Cars under there, Pricey, you've been hiding.
All right, let's get to the serious stuff, shall we? Tonight, life-threatening flash flooding, hundreds of thousands without power, homes destroyed, the Alfred aftermath leaving a trail of destruction through the east coast. But residents are far from out of the woods. Submerged cars, playgrounds underwater, unrelenting rain.
This is the end of our street and our roundabout. As you can see, it's completely gone.
I've never seen anything like this.
You keep thinking it's going to ease off and then all of a sudden it just starts getting heavier again.
Homes left in ruin as Brisbane marked its wettest day in more than half a century.
This is our backyard. The clean-up's going to be the most horrible thing.
We've had just over about 1.5 metres of water through the workshop.
Further west in Ipswich, locals are being told to prepare to leave. The river expected to hit major flood levels tonight, rising to more than 12 metres.
It does get very high, like a few hours we could be underwater standing right here.
The amount of water, we're not affected at home, but here, and I feel so sorry for everyone, that's copping it.
While on the Gold Coast, an unwelcome guest, a shark spotted amid the rising floodwaters of the Tallabudgera Creek. Queensland SES reporting its busiest day ever, hitting the streets by boat, rescuing people from their cars after flash flooding hit the Sunshine Coast hinterland.
There's been 3,676 calls to help for the SES.
Alfred bringing out the best and the worst of us, as thieves targeted vulnerable homes and businesses amid the deluge. Police arresting this Brisbane man, allegedly caught with 10 sets of vehicle keys and housebreaking implements.
You're under arrest, hands behind your back.
While in New South Wales, the focus is now turning to the Clarence, Richmond and Tweed rivers, with flood warnings in place for all three.
We don't want to alarm people, but there is anticipated to be some more rainfall in the day ahead.
The PM today announcing a support package for eligible workers and sole traders affected by the cyclone.
It provides up to 13 weeks of income support at the job seeker level to individuals who work in the local government areas impacted.
Help that can't come soon enough for desperate locals anxiously waiting out the storm.
Pretty stressful. And I'm pregnant and I have 3 little kids, so the idea of having to evacuate is really scary.
Well, Mike Clayton runs a towing company in Nambour on the Sunshine Coast, and he rescued a stranded couple from a car which was floating away in floodwaters this morning. Mike, what a hero. Tell us what happened.
We were down at our main depot here, and this water, we've been here for nearly 40 years and never come up this fast ever. And obviously it hadn't been time for council to get signs out or anything like that, and they've come around the corner and obviously run into the water. And we just kind of looked around and saw the lights and they're floating away, and we see the car doors not opening and no one trying to get out of it, anything like that. And eventually it's like, they're not getting out, so we go out there with a group of us waited out there. And because we know there's a big gully right on the edge of the road here, so if it floats any further, this goes to the big gully. So it's about 6 metre deep gully there, so we thought, get there. And we kind of got there, and it was probably a couple of late 50s, 60s. They were sitting there, and the lady was just, we'd like, get out, and she's just sitting like this because she just, the windows wouldn't work, and it was the look on her face. Oh. Yeah, it's look you probably, all of a sudden you won't forget. It's just like the look of I'm done type situation. And we're just trying to open doors and couldn't pull them. But at the time we weren't sure whether they were locked and electrics wouldn't work, but she couldn't get the windows down. And my daughter's there and she was trying to smash the side window, but they're pretty hard to smash unless you've got a proper tool with you, and at the time it's all happening so quickly. It's a dual cab, 4-wheel drive, and able to get the back door open. It's a bit smaller, but it actually reefed that door open, and got them out through there and just carried the lady across the road. And it was it happened quickly. It was a moment of all hands on. So definitely.
Wow.
Mike, what happens if you didn't get there?
Probably lucky it happened here where there's a group of us around and we were here. If this was somewhere out on some secluded road, this story wouldn't be a good news story, unfortunately. That would be how it probably could have been. So, and just great people. It's there's the flood and forget it types. Don't go across, but they wouldn't even know. And to come in a corner, it's just rain, dark, and it's just once you hit the water, it was just they were gone. So
I know you don't want to take the label hero, but that is the action of heroes. Those people would have been dead if you hadn't got there. 350 mil of rain, 24 hours. You've been out towing cars out of water, plus getting them out of the way. How horrific has it been?
It has been. This one, we're used to floods, but this came up so quickly here at our head office. We prepared cyclone after a lot of trucks out, and we actually thought it was all gone, but our head dispatcher, the night dispatch, said that this water's, they called me up, it was about 3 this morning, they said this water's coming out really fast, and by the time we got here, we had there's a couple of trucks up the dash and water here, there's a couple parked next to the depot. It was just, it moved so quick. Normally we work with it, so that's that whole in Nambour. This copter's just a really fast, never anything like this we've seen where it's come so quickly.
Mike, thanks so much for your time tonight.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Right, let's get some more news now, and it turns out the caravan discovered in Dural in January, packed with explosives, was part of a fabricated terrorist plot. Federal police say it was effectively a setup by organised crime figures. The same people are believed to be behind other graffiti and arson attacks across Sydney. Today, 14 people were arrested during dawn raids.
I can reveal that the caravan was never going to cause a mass casualty event, but instead was concocted by criminals who wanted to cause fear for personal benefit.
Great fears are held for a surfer tonight after a suspected shark attack at a popular beach on WA's remote southeast coast. The surfer was reported to be in distress around lunchtime. The surfboard was later found floating in the water. The incident happened near Duke of Orleans Bay, about 80 k's east of Esperance.
And when it comes to the evolution of James Bond, it appears the character is set to remain a man and British. Amazon MGM Studios have control of the franchise, and an internal memo reportedly suggests the spy will not change gender or nationality. An American has never been cast as 007, but Austin Butler is in the mix. He's got my vote, as Irishman Paul Mescal and Cillian Murphy, as well as Aussie Jacob Elordi.
Oh, so Australians are in the mix?
Yeah, but the character can't be.
Oh, so they can't have the accent.
Or too many sickies, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like an Australian...
We've already had an Australian James Bond.
Yeah.
What?
George Lazenby.
It's
not the first time.
Of course. What year was that?
When you were in kindergarten.
Oh, kindergarten? How old do you think I am? That was... Pierce Brosnan was there. An Australian would be funny, though, like with a thick Aussie accent. Yeah. They wouldn't say shaken, not stirred.
But it has to be a man. It can't be a woman.
I agree.
It cannot be a woman.
You can't change who James Bond is.
No.
It's a character. You don't want him in a man bun, as someone who subscribes as I'm a feminist.
Why?
You want him to be him.
They could franchise it, though. NCIS Sydney, they're doing great stuff. Maybe we could have 007 Melbourne and no martinis, just little lattes.
I quite like the joke you were setting up before Steve just got in the way there.
I want to get the footage of that. You completely jumped on top of it.
What happened?
I was about to do a very funny
He had a punchline ready to go.
I was going to do an Australian...
Oh, I apologise.
Okay, this is the bit, right?
Go. Good, yes.
An Australian James Bond ordering a martini. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Give it a shake, mate. You can piss off with the shaking part of it, though.
No, the
I've got it wrong.
part of it.
I'm glad I jumped in.
No,
Stir.
Sometimes you just don't question Steve's judgment.
Stir, mate.
Steve gets him. Let's go to Melbourne, and it's beautiful there this time of year. And the annual Moomba Parade has been going strong. So many beautiful people. They're happy. Look at these costumes. They're wonderful. Everyone had a great time. Well, almost everyone. Oh, well, if you thought he didn't like that outfit there, he really hated it on the tram on the way home. Let me tell you. Now, one guy who was excited to be there was Lord Mayor Nick Rees, and he was thanking the weather gods, and by the sounds of it, it's going to be like really overcast.
We've had a terrific Moomba festival. The weather gods have been kind, and we're expecting record clouds of close to 1.3 million.
I mean...
That's a lot of clouds.
I've heard about Cloud 9, Cloud 1.3 million. I've got to get there. That sounds unbelievable.
We'll see you soon.
Well, more details have emerged about the latest indecent assault charge laid against former broadcaster Alan Jones. His 11th alleged victim has reportedly told police he was assaulted in Tamworth in northern New South Wales in 2013. The man alleges Jones grabbed and squeezed his bottom. Jones has denied the charges against him.
New data has revealed renters in Australia are digging deeper than ever before to keep a roof over their heads. The latest REA rental report shows the average household could only afford 36% of rentals in the last half of 2024. New South Wales is the toughest place to be a tenant. Sydney-siders paying on average $730 per week. Still tough in Victoria, but Victoria is the most affordable state for renters.
Time now to see what's making news around the world.
Mark Carney, the former central bank boss in the UK and Canada, is taking over as Prime Minister from Justin Trudeau. Elected in a landslide, winning 85.9% of the vote, he now takes up the fight against Donald Trump's trade tariffs.
The Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
5 people have been taken to hospital after their small plane crashed into the car park of a retirement village and burst into flames. The pilot was trying to return to the airport because of an open door when the plane went down.
Alexa Tower, I cannot hear you with the wind, so we're going to return. And 347, Mike, pull up.
Authorities say it's a miracle no one on the ground was injured. And an Aussie golfing prodigy has equalled the great Seve Ballesteros with his maiden win on the PGA Tour. Koala Carl Phillips shot a final round 8 under 64 to claim a 3-stroke victory at the Puerto Rico Open. The 23-year-old smashed the tournament's scoring record by 5 shots in only his 4th career start.
What about 8 under, Sarah, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you explain
what is 8 under?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about golf. Could you just take the floor?
Means that you've got it in the hole a bit. That's what it means. I don't understand why. How come he gets like the nickname koala? Like Greg Norman got the shark, which is cool, but like the koala, what?
I don't think it's a good. I mean, Carl's going to have a big future, but he's got to ditch the nickname because, like, tigers, aggressive, great white shark, scary, the bear. It puts fear. Like koala, it's like, oh, you got chlamydia and you're tired. It's like. You know, it's not enough.
You should be a comedian.
Yeah, be a comedian like me, because that's the real cool thing, Carl, and I'm jealous of your golf game.
Carl starts with a K.
Yes.
So that's why it's koala.
Correct.
Kangaroo?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah, kangaroo. What about Kiss Morning? On Sunrise, they were reporting from... I tried to link it by putting the K there. Anyway, Callabunga in Queensland. And, guys, it seems the floods have sadly damaged an extremely historical and culturally important and significant site.
The water level is so high now, it's actually knocked over some soccer nets. It's also completely consumed some of them. And also what's interesting as well is that back in December of last year, this exact spot was actually used by Mark Wahlberg to film his latest comedy movie.
No, Alfred, come on. If you even touch where they shot Babe Pig in the City, I'm coming for you, mate.
More project right after this.
Now, when Channel 10 asked me, Sam Taunton, if I wanted to walk the catwalk at the Melbourne Fashion Festival, of course, I immediately said, me? A model? I've been waiting for this call. No. Luckily, I came to my senses and I said, no, that's crazy. They disagreed and reminded me I was on a terrible workplace contract. I had no choice. So recently, I attempted to walk the fashion catwalk at the Melbourne Fashion Festival. I was walking in the men's bit, but my pre-show training was hard going. It's not going well. Apparently they take your photo and you can't look at the ground to turn. But it's like, if you can't look at the ground, how do you know where you're turning? I'm going to do an ACL. I can already feel it. I'm nervous. My friends and colleagues were abandoning me like rats off a sinking ship. Well, no, my girlfriend didn't believe in me, but I've got these guys are from work.
We don't believe in you either.
You don't believe in me? So as fashion fans started arriving, I had to beg them for catwalk help. Do you guys have any advice for me? Breathe.
Blank expression, like you're dead in the face. Ooze confidence, put your shoulders back, chin up.
Chin down.
Fake confidence. Literally walk down that stage like you were the hottest piece of meat.
Wait, I need some tips for walking. My girlfriend says I waddle a bit when I walk.
Just one foot in front of the other. Don't trip over. Yeah. Try and walk with the rhythm of the music. Not too stiff, not too stiff. Better. Sway.
Better.
Can I get on this?
Yeah, get on that one.
You're walking like you're going to somewhere you don't want to be. Loosen up, bro.
Right.
But it's just kind of that, excuse me, big energy, you know?
I can't relate to that.
Well, pretend that you can.
Oh, okay.
You've got what everyone wants to eat, and everyone has something special and unique about them, and you've got that.
Better. Yes, that's it, bro.
Oh my
that's
God.
it.
Shoulders back.
Shoulders back.
Head
Believe
up.
in yourself.
Big energy.
Big energy. You know what? I think it was starting to click. It's showtime. Or as we say in the modelling industry, let's walk. Next up, the fitting. Luke and Abby, you've dressed me. First of all, well done.
We just thought it would be really chic on you and interesting.
It's interesting. Have you noticed my waddle?
No, I haven't noticed your waddle yet.
Wait, watch me walk very quickly.
Yeah.
Do you see the waddle? Waddle?
Yeah.
A bit of a waddle.
Bit of a waddle.
Yeah.
I was starting to feel like a miracle could happen. I'll do a spin. Actually, I didn't like the spin, but I look great. I was worried. I don't know why. I look cool, right? And it's true what they say, because it's like, if you look good, you feel good. I've never had so much confidence. I'm not confident. I'm not confident. I'm not confident. I won't lie. I didn't know they recorded this bit. I'm going to go. I'm going to get it. I feel sick, but I pulled myself together and turned dreams into reality. Am I on? Look at me go. Let's walk. I came, I saw, I definitely waddled. Thank you, fellow models. We have a bond that can't be broken. We walk together and well, no, I'll never see you guys again. I caught a hammy. Thank you. Yeah,
You were fantastic.
Thank you, Pricey. And I expect to see waddling all the rage in Milan, London, Paris. It was nerve-wracking.
You had the height for it.
Me, I know, because as famous
You're a spunk.
Oh my God. I know.
Jan agrees in the audience.
I know. I feel like I'm done with this show.
The glasses helped.
The glasses did. They hid kind of the pain. I agree.
We have to take a break. More projects right after this. You are watching The Project. Welcome back.
It is Brisbane's wettest day in more than half a century as the heavy rains and winds from ex-tropical cyclone Alfred continue to move across Australia's east coast. And as attention begins to turn to the recovery, insurance companies have been put on notice amid claims they're ripping off Australians.
A dramatic rescue unfolds in the Lockyer Valley, a woman trapped in a car overturned in floodwaters. It was the busiest 24 hours in the history of Queensland's SES as flash flooding plunges towns across southeast Queensland underwater. A record amount of rain falling on Nambour on the Sunshine Coast, breaking records going back to the 1890s. As the New South Wales Northern Rivers region tonight faces renewed flooding threat. But as the storm begins to ease in some areas, thoughts turn to what comes next.
This is a time where insurance companies can restore some of their reputation. Insurance companies need to do the right thing.
Insurance companies put on notice after a parliamentary inquiry into the 2022 floods revealed families and businesses were forced to wait more than 2 years for their claims and loopholes were used to deny compensation.
I will be prepared to call out insurers who aren't good partners.
In the 2022 floods, a lot of households who thought that they were insured ended up not being fully covered. Maybe it's flood water rather than storm water, or the insurer says that there's a maintenance issue when they haven't kept the leaves out of their gutters.
But for many, there'll be no payout at all. Insurance now out of reach as premiums rise.
It is the most disadvantaged households with the lowest incomes who are in the highest risk areas. They're the households that can't afford to buy insurance because it's those high-risk households who are facing the highest premiums.
The average cost of building insurance claims rose more than 7 times between 2004 and 2022. That caused average premiums to quadruple over the same time period. And all that was before the $10 billion in payouts in the wake of the 2022 and 2023 disasters. Now, many straining under the growing financial burden have dropped flood insurance altogether. An estimated 40% of homes are currently uninsured for flooding, a number that rises to a whopping 77% in high-risk areas.
Many households will have some insurance, but not the flood component because the flood component is very expensive. They're at the mercy of insurers at the moment because of the way that the regulation is structured.
So, with the full extent of Alfred's damage yet to be revealed, how many victims are facing damage that may never be repaired?
Andrew Hall is the CEO of the Insurance Council of Australia and is with us now. Andrew, we've seen claims as recently as 2022 drag on for years, leaving people to this day without compensation, unable to rebuild their houses. Can you promise us it will be different this time?
Well, 2022 was one of the worst events we went through. We're coming off the back of COVID at the time, and the claims numbers topped something like 230,000, which was the largest number of claims ever experienced in an Australian event. I'm confident insurance companies since that time have been rebuilding workforces. Many of the insurance companies are actually based here in Brisbane, so thousands of their staff actually live here in the southeast corner of Queensland and are already on the ground and out there doing the assessments as they're getting access to properties and the like.
And if I'm watching at home and I'm in this sort of situation, when can I expect to have the compensation paid and some accommodation actually functional?
So there's a couple of parts to your policy. In situations where your home has been damaged, the insurer is compensating you with the loss of food and temporary accommodation. If your home has damage, the insurer will do an assessor, present you with that scope of works. You then have the right to agree or disagree with it. In very few cases do we go straight to a cash settlement. That's not fair because people in those situations really rely on the insurer's builder to do the work. They don't have the wherewithal to find builders, and particularly in this market. So insurers work very hard to get their panel of builders in and do the work themselves. So there's 2 parts to this: immediate cash settlement for loss of groceries or temporary accommodation, and then over the medium to long term, the actual job of rebuilding the home.
Andrew, to the wider question, we just heard there in our package, an expert said people who need insurance the most are the ones that are least likely to have it. There seems to be something basically wrong here with the system, doesn't there?
Yeah, well, in Australia, we know that there's 220,000 homes that were built in high flood risk zones with either a 2 or a 5% chance of flooding every year. And over the last 5 years, some of those homes have flooded now 3 times. Less than 1 in 4 of those properties have insurance. So we say to government, probably the most immediate thing you could be doing is 1, remove taxes off insurance premiums. The second thing we need to do is take some of that money that government is collecting, the $8.6 billion a year that's being collected off insurance premiums, and put it into hard infrastructure. Lismore's levy is still the same height it was in 2022. It needs to be raised, but we need the science and the work done on it. But the minute it's done, we need a bucket of money there to raise it. And then there's Rockhampton and Bundaberg. There's a whole list of communities. We've all done the flood studies. They're sitting there, they're waiting to go. We just need the infrastructure funding to protect those properties.
Yeah, well, in Lismore, the mitigation work just wasn't done after 2022. I mean, whose job is it to go and tell people who live in these regions or in these spots within flood-prone towns, look, you shouldn't be living here?
It's a really hard conversation, and it's one that's caught between literally 3 levels of government. When we know that there is roads that have a black spot where people are dying, governments invest money to make those roads safer. Yet we know where all these homes are that keep flooding, but we don't seem to do anything about it other than rush to put everyone back in the same location. And then we wonder why insurance premiums are expensive, and we wonder why the same thing happens over and over again. In fact, it's happening with more frequency. But really, the decision can't be just return to the same thing that they had in the past.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Let's get some more news now. And Donald Trump has lashed out at former Australian PM Malcolm Turnbull, posting some scathing remarks about his leadership on social media. Trump described Turnbull as weak and ineffective and someone who never understood what was going on in China. The attack came after Turnbull told Bloomberg Trump was playing into China's hands with his planned tariffs.
There'll be many countries who will, looking at China on the one hand and Trump on the other, will find China a more attractive partner.
Things are looking up for Anthony Albanese. The latest news poll shows support for his performance as PM has risen 4%. The poll has also revealed that Labor is unlikely to secure a majority government with the coalition in front, 51 to 49% two-party preferred. Voters are less hopeful about the future as well, and they have a growing distrust of government and institutions. The new survey from ANU shows Aussies' life satisfaction is at its lowest level since the COVID-19 lockdowns.
Well, that's not a good result for anybody. I mean, does everybody feel that way? I mean, I think that's the mood out there in the community.
I think we haven't quite bounced back after
Well, I'm a model, so things are really looking up for me at the moment. I can't speak for the rest of the electorate, though.
Yeah, because ultimately the aftermath of COVID was inflation. And we haven't really joined those two things in our minds, I think. I think what we thought is when COVID ends, well, it's over, we just go back. And it never works that way because the economy was pumped with all this money for very good reason, and then that leads to inflation. Russia, Ukraine hasn't helped, all that. So I can see why there's that. The thing is that's interesting is all of that suggests it's the worst possible time to be a government seeking re-election, which is why it's actually interesting that, according to that poll, that Labor are in the hunt. I don't think anyone expects them to win it. The margin's so small. But for a hung parliament, for them to hold on, it would actually buck a trend, I think.
And if you think people in Australia are saddened by the way we feel at the moment, they're going to feel a lot worse if we have a minority Labor government.
Why do you think that?
Well, because the deals that they're going to have to do, whether it be with the Greens or with the Teal Independents, is going to mean that the government's going to be worse than it would be if it was in majority. I want a Labor majority or a coalition majority.
Yeah, and I reckon that's the thing you're not going to get.
Well,
it's going to be hung.
As I said, I'm going to be very sad when that happens.
I just can't imagine you sad, Steve.
Yeah,
I'll be grumpy, sad, and angry.
You'll have to introduce me to that guy.
Now, Dave Hughes has lost his cool at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. Yeah, Hughesy, the comedian, unleashed on three women who wouldn't stop yapping during his set. He eventually kicked them out of the room. The audience was on Hughesy's side, cheering as the trio left.
All right, so that's it. No, I'm sorry, this is show. Seriously, this is ridiculous. Right, that's it. Instead of someone speaking like that, it's so distracting. They run around. It's the height of rudeness.
And our friend Dave Hughes is here now.
The king.
You seem so zen in the jungle, Hughesy.
Yes.
What ticked you off about these women? What were they doing?
They just wouldn't shut up.
What are you talking about?
I don't, maybe how hot I am, I don't know, but it was just, look, they were in the second row and I gave them 5 warnings. I said, come on, guys. Yeah, well, maybe 4, at least 3 warnings. But, yeah, I said, look, you just can't talk here. You can go out and talk and that's fine. I even offered a refund. I said, I'll pay you to leave.
And that's huge. You're offering to give money back.
Exactly.
Right?
No, I'm all for refunds if people aren't happy. No, that's a joke. But they wouldn't leave. There's one woman in particular, she didn't want to leave, but I said, now you have to leave. So, yeah, and eventually they did leave. And then the crowd started cheering, and then when everyone started cheering and chanting, get out, I think then her brain worked out that maybe she was being annoying. So, yeah.
Wait, didn't you get a kiss off one of them?
I did, yeah. I thought she was going to come over and punch me, but no, she actually said, I love you. So I said, I love you too, but your friend...
So what a confusing interaction.
I know, but that was the problem. She wasn't the problem, her friend was the problem, but it was a package deal and they all had to go.
Did she have a baby with her?
There was no baby involved.
What was the moment that the light went off in your head that if you do that you're going to get attacked in the media by some people?
No, look, it was Friday night. And I am zen because we got on with the show and the show was great. There was no issue with the show. Everyone was happy that they'd left. And I didn't think about it at all till Sunday when I got a call from another network, another TV network, saying we've got footage of you kicking a woman out of a show. And I said, good, let's talk about it. And so, yeah, but so I'm absolutely fine with what happened.
Do you think, because this does happen in the world of comedy, occasionally you have to kick people out, so be wary, studio audience, but do you think there needs to be a refresher on maybe etiquette at comedy shows?
Yeah, not just comedy shows, I think cinemas or anywhere, or music events, anywhere where people are paid to listen to someone else. So if you want to talk, you need to talk really quietly or not be where people are listening to a show. So I think it's a lesson for all of us, and we can all be better.
Well, you're both comedians, so what's worse, a heckler or a talker?
Talker, I would say. Do you agree?
Look, if a heckler says you're not funny and everyone in the crowd agrees with them, that's bad. But someone who's talking and not if you're a heckler, obviously you hope they're engaged with the show, but someone's talking often is not engaged with the show, so the talking is worse.
What was that cupboard you were performing in?
What's that, sorry?
Where were you?
That was at a hotel. I'd done my main show at the Fringe, and then there was an extra gig I did, and I drove 45 minutes to get there. It was a sold-out event. 200 people. There was 200 people there, yes.
So you mentioned that another network got in touch.
Yes.
It was Network 7. They covered it, and I've got to say, I thought this was harsh. This is their new... I mean, that's pretty tough.
Not funny.
I must say,
that's not ideal.
I did not love that headline. And I imagine... I haven't seen the story, but yes, I agree. When I saw that, I was annoyed.
I think what they were saying is that...
We know what they were saying, but we know they were being a bit sneaky.
They weren't they, Dave?
But no, it was a great night anyway. So yes, and I'm doing a lot of shows at the moment, so book now. And,
and don't talk. Please thank Hughesy!
Back with more in just a moment. Well, a Qantas flight from Brisbane has had to make a priority landing in Sydney this morning after the captain experienced chest pains mid-flight. As flight attendants prepared the defibrillator, the first officer called in the medical emergency. The plane landed safely. The captain was met at the gate by paramedics and taken to hospital. Wow.
And how would you feel about your partner hooking up with a robot modelled after you? A new survey has revealed a quarter of Gen Z would be fine with it. Men are 69% more comfortable with the idea than women, who are 23% more likely to see it as cheating.
Not good.
I thought those figures would be reversed.
You thought?
I thought women would be more comfortable with it than men.
Yeah. I don't know. I worry about...
Hang on. Women would be more comfortable with men hooking up the robot. With the robot. Would you be able to turn it on?
The robot? Oh my God! I'm sure I could find someone on Airtasker to do it. Definitely. I don't like the idea of it's modelled on you, but then it's a robot, so it could update. So it would constantly be a better version. Well, like I'm at the point in my life where I'm only going down, whereas the robot would be getting better.
Yes.
And I can't compete with that.
No, of course.
No.
And the question would be who gets to do what bits. So, like, if you get like
Well, the robot gets to sleep with my girlfriend and host this show. It's like, what are the good bits that I get to do?
Okay, that's not where I was going, but sure.
Right, okay.
Got no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Doesn't Jules deserve a sex machine, Sam?
Okay, guys. Well, it's time for some journalism, okay? Everyone's worried about Donald Trump invading Canada, Greenland, even Panama, but they're ignoring the real threat. Donald Trump invading time itself. I know. It's crazy. A careful examination of texts from over a century ago reveals that Donald might actually be a time traveller. It's mental, and I decided to investigate. It all began when I was researching 19th century literature in my extensive personal library.
Wait. Let's just stop right there.
Okay. Seriously, since when did you have a library?
Oh, come on.
Mate, this is already unbelievable.
Oh, okay, fine. It all began when I was staring at social media for 11 hours straight. Somewhere around hour 9, I stumbled onto a particularly twisted conspiracy theory.
So you might have heard before people joking around about Donald Trump being a time traveler.
Have you heard of the theory that the Trumps are time travelers?
Donald Trump and Barron Trump are time travelers.
But that's crazy. time travel isn't possible.
Shit, I've gone back too far.
I had to look into this. It turns out this theory stems from the work of a 19th century writer, plausibly named Ingersoll Lockwood. He wrote 2 children's novels about a young boy who goes on adventures. The boy's name? Baron Trump. A name somewhat identical to the name of Donald's son, Baron Trump.
Okay, sure, that is an interesting coincidence, but as it turns out, that's not the only one.
You see, the character of Baron comes from a German family.
My father is German, right?
Lives in a castle named after his family, is guided by an author named Don, who teaches Baron about magical portals found in Russia.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And also, when he meets people from a different culture, he's worried they're going to eat his dog.
They're eating the dogs.
Okay, now this is all pretty weird. Who is this author, Ingersoll Lockwood, and what else has he written? Well, it turns out he's also written a little novel called The Last President. Yes, The Last President, a novel from 1896, in which an incredibly contentious election results in protests and riots, and a populist president appoints a man named Pence to his cabinet after promising a clean sweep of these barnacles of the ship of state.
It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
Plus, the act of reading made me go further and further right.
My mind was blown, as were the minds of the other great thinkers of our generation.
Is this a simulation? Is this real? How will we know? Maybe we'll know from goofy clues like that.
But is it a simulation? Or is the internet right and it's actually time travel? Well, for the Trumps to have access to that kind of technology, someone in their family would have to be some kind of great professor or scientist or engineer.
My uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump at MIT.
That actually checks out. Dr. John Trump, electrical engineer and inventor, who was once recruited by the FBI to analyse the secret papers of genius inventor Nikola Tesla.
I found it a matter of a bit of a concern.
Yeah, but that's his uncle. What does Donald Trump really know about time?
President-elect Donald Trump was just named by Time as its Person of the Year.
Okay, fine. The Trumps are time travellers who went back to the 1890s and told a writer about their lives.
And nothing can disprove it. Not physics, not the statistical probability of coincidence, not the many details I conveniently left out of this story because it didn't fit my narrative. Nothing. Oh, thank God I'm not too late. Sam, you need to move your car. The meter's almost out. Jesus! Also, you're your own grandfather. You'll find out.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you think, Pricey?
I'd stick to modelling.
Right.
The
crazy
green jumper was good.
That's
extraordinary.
It's interesting. And I wonder, you know, when Trump's always, he's like, make America great again. He could be talking about 1893. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
As in, that's when
he's from, and he's like, it was good back then.
It was good then, I
yeah.
see.
So actual people believe this stuff.
Are you in on this?
No, I'm not in on this. But you can see how people get sucked down into that black hole.
Oh, it's good fun.
By
Good
drinking
fun.
the bong water.
Yeah.
It's time for a break. We'll see you after this.
That was one. Tell London what goes on behind the scenes at the project. Be part of our live studio audience to see all the magic, the superstar guests. I'm back!
I'm so happy to be here.
And you could even find yourself on the telly. For tickets to either our Melbourne or Sydney studio, go to theprojectaudience.com.au.
Welcome to the project.
Well, Ben Elton is the comic behind legendary TV series The Young Ones and Blackadder, the owner of 4 BAFTAs and the author of a whopping 16 novels. And he joins us now ahead of a brand new stand-up tour. Would you please welcome Ben Elton?
Good to see you in the flesh. Often on the other end of a link. Now, I have to say, your show, which we spoke to you about before. We
did.
It's called Authentic Stupidity.
It is.
Wonderful title.
Great name.
I don't know if you saw this. There was a review in the Times. They called you, this is a quote from them, not me, a genius and a grumpy old git. Compliment or insult?
Did I see it? Well, of course I didn't read it because I don't read reviews. I'm certainly, you don't get the Times calling you a genius very often. Well, clearly being called a genius was a compliment, and the grumpy old git bit was actually a quote from the show because I spent the whole show basically denying being a grumpy old git. Well, frankly, being a bit of a grumpy old git. Because it's a funny thing, you know, I've been doing this now for 44 years.
Wow.
And so, you know, you start, I can look at my whole life in routines, and, you know, you start off, you know everything, you're passionate, you're laying down the law because young people, they're the change and they know what they're thinking. Slowly but surely, you think life will be a sort of passage towards enlightenment. It's a free fall into bewilderment. And really, I used to do material about what I knew, what I was sure of, and now I do material about what I have no idea what is going on about anything anymore.
I love being a grumpy old git.
Yeah, well,
I made a career out of it.
And we love, exactly, you know, it's good. I'm a more cheerful, grumpy old git, I have to say.
Are you just going to take the genius part and put it on your next poster and forget about the git bit?
I think you may have seen the poster. There's genius on it with a lot of stars and a lot of...
This is marketing, right?
Honestly, getting old, you get good reviews. Well, I don't know if you do, but I've started getting good reviews. I mean, 30 years in the wilderness, and suddenly, hey, OK, we'll let you off now. I think I'm probably too old to irritate anybody anymore.
Steve did do stand-up on this show once.
It was very bad. It was very bad.
A genius, no doubt. Now, one of the themes in the show that you talk about is humanity and how you think, I think this is right, is a bit thick. you mean THICK, not like
stupid. Well,
thick,
look,
you know.
We talked the last time about how AI is apparently going to be more intelligent than us, and yet we invented it. So how stupid are we? And I think that's really. I've always, my whole life, every show I do is really unpacking the sort of essential absurdity of our existence. But I do think technology, the very fruits of human genius, are actually making us stupider. I mean, it's rendering us helpless. You know, we can't tell the phone in an age that's never been more obsessed with personal agency and identity. We've actually, haven't we? We've abdicated our responsibilities, cognitive personality to our mobile phones, and we're helpless. We can't find our way from the bed to the bog without sat-nav. I mean, if your phone dies in the night, you end up pissing in a wardrobe. I mean,
not all of us have houses like you and Steve.
You mean you haven't got a house big enough for a wardrobe? I refuse to believe that.
He just sleeps in the bathroom.
What confuses you about modern kind of culture these days?
I think the thing that is the most confusing thing is how we're unable to deal with the fruits of our own genius. I mean, you know, humanity is clearly, you know, a cut above the other animals in that we've been able to dominate and subdue the planet, and yet we unleash these great waves of technology on society without even taxing them, let alone considering the consequences. The mobile phone gets invented, 15 years later, children don't have a childhood anymore. We can see it happening constantly. And, you know, you look at the cars, it's like we're both thick and clever. We invent cars, we're too stupid to invent proper, affordable public transport. We invent the internet, we're too stupid to tell the difference between verifiable facts and undiluted arse porridge. We invent
what was his package just before? Which of those?
Well, you know, the Trump about him being a time traveller. What did you think?
I thought it was funny.
Not arse porridge?
Oh, I love the fact that you said, and I've left out all the facts that didn't agree with my narrative, because that is the point about all conspiracy theories, and all people say, no, I can prove that 9/11 was, was the CIA or whatever. Yeah, but no, you can only prove it with your little 5-minute video clip that says all the things that work towards it. I'm the enemy of conspiracy theories. So this idea, because denying the moon landings. I mean, even I got some idea how the moon landings work. I can see how a rocket works, and I understand gravity. But a phone with which you're transmitting a theory that the moon landings don't work, that's incomprehensible technology. Harry Potter would never believe he could send a dick pic to Hermione across the world. People sitting on planes, they're not denying it because they can experience it. They're not saying, no, the CIA are running past the windows with cardboard clouds.
Sex robots, they're coming.
They're not coming for me.
Tickets to see Authentic Stupidity live and in person are on sale now. Apologies to all the Harry Potter fans out there. Would you please thank Ben Elton?